Hello, everybody at home, and welcome to Soul Searching with Polly and Jane.
Hello. Hello. Do you want to see my fan? Do you want to see my only fan?
You'll be sunning your feet next.
I've only got the one. No, it's so hot here in Portsmouth while we are recording. We must be mad. We are sitting here in scorching heat. I do believe, but we didn't Google check that, it is the hottest day so far this year. But anyway, we are real troopers, aren't we, Polly? We still come on and record for our lovely fan.
We're
Not
just
this one.
well hard. Fans at home. We've got fans. I've got 2 fans running here currently, and in my spiritual shed, I also have 2 fans and aircon unit. And but the aircon is so loud that you can't actually have it on while you're doing a reading. So,
well,
yes.
I've just got the one tall fan and the one little fan. But anyway, today we're going to call it Moaning Myrtle. We're going to call it the Moany Day because we thought we'd have a day of moaning. No, we don't moan, Polly.
Yeah,
But we've also got a little guest in the studio, haven't we?
We have. Hiding.
We have a hiding guest. We have a guest in the studio that is going to join in vocally, but not visually.
Would she like to visually just stick her head in, or are we going to stay in the distance?
She doesn't want to fish. Do you want to visually? Our guest is very shy, people. She's not that shy, but she's making it. No, she's only sitting in the background because there's no room for her. I haven't got that much tech involved. We're not in a real studio. Come on, what do you think we're doing? We're novice at this, are we not?
Well, we are, but we're not.
If she gets the urge to put her face in, I'll take my face out because people are probably fed up seeing it and she can do so. But people will be able to hear her and she's going to join in with our Moaning Myrtle Day. It wasn't really Moaning Myrtle. It's just came to me because of Harry Potter. She was Moaning Myrtle, wasn't she?
Oh, love a bit of Moaning Myrtle.
Yeah, I love a bit of Moaning Myrtle. But today we thought, because the sun brings out some very strange things, doesn't it? It makes people very angry and agitated and silly. Maybe they're a bit silly. It makes them drink too much alcohol. And in our case, we've been sweating too much because we have to sit still when we're working. So, do you want to start, Polly? What would you want to moan about today?
Well, I'd like to first moan about, the thing is, I'm not a massive moaner as a rule. I have my moments, but I want to go upon our guest's idea. Are we naming our guest in the background?
Yes, of course. Sorry. How rude of us not to name our guest. Our guest is Sarah Wilson. She is, what is she? What are you, Sarah?
I am.
She's lost for words. That's what she is.
Sarah is our lovely friend.
Sarah is our lovely friend, and she also comes to our development group. That's why she's come on today. But we haven't developed her enough to come on and show her face. We will work with that, won't we, Polly?
We certainly will. Getting somebody out of their comfort zone.
But Sarah wanted a little moan, so we thought we'd get Sarah on and moan with us.
So Sarah's moan, and I know I agree with it, and as do you, Jane. People walking their dogs in this ridiculous heat. What a totally stupid and irresponsible thing to do. Sarah, in the background, would you like to add?
Yes, because I was this morning, it was about 9 o'clock, driving along, and I saw a lady. So my car was saying 31 degrees. A lady walking a big fluffy corgi. Well, not a big one, little corgi, but really fluffy in the boiling hot heat on the pavement. It was panting away, poor little thing. And it just makes me really angry. I just think people should be made to take their shoes and socks off and stand on a burning hot floor and see how long they can last.
Or walk out in a big fur coat if it was a dog with lots of fur.
I mean, there is places where if you have to walk them, sometimes like 9 o'clock, people would probably still consider that relatively early, but if I was going to go somewhere and it had to be 9 o'clock, still today, these dogs have had a really bad walk this morning. It was only an early one round the block because it was so hot then. And ridiculously hot then. It was ridiculous. It was like 26 degrees in the night, let alone this morning where it was still boiling. But it's just, go to somewhere with trees, go to somewhere like inside a forest, if that's going to have to be your early walk, no balls, no toys for the dogs to run after. It should be that, I mean, we're close to us. We've got a lovely little park called Gackham Gardens, haven't we? That's quite shady. And then you've got like Fox's Forest. However, I wouldn't walk in Fox's Forest on my own after a couple of things that have happened there. But no, I mean, we've been setting the alarms at stupid o'clock to get the dogs out, and I'm out the door by sort of 6:30 down the park. Luckily, it's but that they didn't go to the park today because, like I said, because watching the weather and the weather forecast, it's going to be scorching, it's going to be burning hot, and the humidity is actually what's likely to kill them.
Mhm.
The humidity here is like getting off. I remember getting off a plane into Florida, and it hit me like a brick, and that's how it feels here at the moment. It is that thick and humid, and just generally roasting. I just don't know how anybody. I mean, some people lock their dogs out in the gardens for the day
Oh,
and things
yeah, I've
like
heard
that.
one barking. I mean, the last couple of days by me, barking continuously in the garden.
I mean, it's shocking. I mean, those dogs, unless they've got some shelter in a sheltered, shady area, I mean, you're just asking for your dog to die. And I don't know why people are surprised when they do. But you know what I mean? I don't know how anybody could be surprised taking their dog out in this heat and then be surprised when the vet says, "Oh, it's got huge heat exhaustion," and basically, you have just killed your dog. Does that make sense?
It's not
Because you
just that as well. It's I was so obviously I was talking to Sarah before we came on. It's their paws. Their paws are quite sensitive.
are
That's one of their
very
sensories, and that floor's hot. So yeah, go out and walk on that floor, and then tell me why you think your dog's paws should be walking on your floor. I did see now, Sarah. I obviously had dogs. I've sadly lost my dogs. I've been dog free for a year. You have 3 dogs, 2 cats, well, free, but someone's
free
picked one
by
of them.
admission, but
Free
one's
by
moved
admission,
out.
but someone's got the other one. And Sarah's obviously a cat owner. And I've even seen a post. I mean, my moan is the world's gone crazy anyway, but I see a post yesterday about someone moaning about a cat being out and how stupid are you to let your cat out and get your cat indoors. Well, I'm sorry, but there's my moan. Yes, dogs should be out in this heat, and actually any animal needs to be near shade and water, but I'm an old-fashioned person. In my day, cats roamed the streets because that's what
Absolutely.
cats did. So you couldn't keep a cat in. Your cat went out and did what it wanted and came back several days later. I get all these house cats, and I know Sarah's is a house cat. She's in a flat. So I get the house cats. I mean, I lived in flats and our cats still went out, but they obviously lived in the house, the flat as well when I was a teenager. But you can't stop a cat going out. I mean, you don't literally have to tie it down to stop a cat going out.
Yeah.
But a cat is quite sensible, we'd like to think.
Yeah, I was going to say they're not stupid.
They're not, well, no animal's stupid. If a dog had a choice and wasn't on a lead, I think they'd run for the hills to get some water and shade. But a cat will do what they have to do to stay protected because that's their survival technique. So now people are going, oh, get your cats in. No, cats should be run free and doing what they want, and just make sure there's access to get back in for water or shade.
Mm.
If you've got rabbits, guinea pigs, or anything like that in the garden, even aviaries, yes, make sure they're shaded, make sure they've got water. That's all you got to do because these animals have been living like that for donkeys, decades.
Mhm.
Whatever. No, I haven't got a donkey for anyone else just because I said that. But dogs is different. We treat dogs, yeah, we bring them in, we do all the stuff for them. So we can't expect a dog to know, oh, well, you better not go out there. Because I think if they had the choice, they would turn their lead away if they could get, if they knew.
Do you know what, though? I mean, as you know, I've got 3 dogs, 2 older ones and a very new addition. Hey, Pepper. No, she's crashed. And one of mine, the black one, Tino, he actually follows me literally like he's my shadow. So, I mean, he's always been very much my dog. He's chosen me, whereas Bella's very much about my partner. And he's desperate. I'm having to lock the cat flap and shut the back door so he doesn't come into the shed with me to do readings because he would cook.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a black coloured dog. He's going to soak up sun. And if I went outside to go and get the washing in, which actually I can't, I don't even want to. It's on the washing line, but it's until it's like late tonight. I'm not even going to go out there.
Yeah, but even that's funny, Polly. I did 3 lots yesterday and I brought one lot in and it was rock hard in a couple of hours. I thought I wanted it dry, but I didn't want it that dry. I felt like I was taking it off
Crispy.
and a person was still in it. It was that's how hot it is out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just evaporating, isn't it? But but, you know, he would follow me. He would follow me to the shed. He often, especially if I do like online readings, he'll be on the floor in my shed and or outside. I've got 3 of them now. If I do an online reading, they're all like out there sunbathing if they want to. But I'm having to make sure none of the dogs come out, even to go and get my washing. Pepper came out, and you could see she was almost like, whoa. And you know, she's only like a 13-week-old puppy, and you could see it almost hit her like, Jesus, this is
But
mental.
here's the interesting thing. So, as you know, I think I've mentioned it a few times. I did the month in India last year, and obviously, animals, even monkeys, are out in that heat. They are out on the wall. They are sat in shade, though. Dogs are roaming, bulls are roaming because cows are quite their thing, and the cats no one likes in India, so they're definitely roaming around. And someone said to me, well, why should I have to keep my dog in? Other countries don't do it. Well, my answer to that is those pets have been born in that country. Well, they're not always pets in other countries either. But those animals, a lot of them are fending for themselves. They are strays, so they're literally just looking after themselves. So they've got a bit more savvy. They're probably a bit more streetwise if we had a little dog chat to them in animal communication. But also they have been born into a country with that intense heat. So they're like you said, with the humidity, they've had to adjust to that.
Yeah, they're climatized to
Yeah,
it. Then,
so they're climatized like humans, because like you said, I remember when I went to Dubai and I stepped off the plane off from Dubai, and I'd been to hot countries. I'd been to Greece the month before, which was actually having the worst heat wave ever. I think they were nearly hitting into the 40s, the late
wow.
40s, yeah. And it's such a dry country, Greece. It was so unbearable. And then I thought, God, Dubai would be a breeze if I've just done Greece. I got off that plane in Dubai, and the humidity, it wasn't the heat, it was the humidity. It literally sucked the air out of my lungs.
Mm.
Being an asthmatic, it takes me a while to acclimatise anyway, but I remember stepping out the plane and I wanted to get back in it for a bit just to work out. I mean, the humidity was unreal. And if you've lived there, you're acclimatised to it. When you go on holiday, you acclimatise to it. And then you sort of go, oh, yeah, I can cope with this now. And then you've got to come home again. So animals in this country are not used to this.
Neither are humans, to be fair.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because you've just been to Lanzarote, wasn't it? You went to back in April. We go on holiday to hot countries and we get on with it. So why don't we cope in England? Why do we go, oh, I can't handle this? Why don't I
Because
get
when
my
because when
lovely only fan out? Why do we do it?
because when I'm in Tenerife, I'm next to a pool,
Yes, that's the
and
thing.
then you've got like not many clothes on. Well, I don't. I just
All right,
decide that I have
keep it clean.
working
Even
on
though
my bikini
I
bottom.
do put it's over 18 on the YouTube.
But the I mean, obviously I'm not naked, but I am wearing a bikini, and you know, I'm roaming around in that bikini. I might put a pair of shorts on and a vest top to go and eat, but other than that, I'm not, you know, dressing for dinner. You know what I mean? The things are air conditioned. The often, you know, in your bedrooms you've got air conditioning in a hotel. Often, not always. In the cafeterias or the restaurants, you've got aircon, so you are literally, you know, going from that heat. You can jump in the pool if you're hot, get out again, and then you go for your lunch. You've got a nice aircon going
Yeah.
on, and yeah. And but I think, I mean, I remember when it wasn't even supposed to be that hot, and me and my daughter went to Menorca, and it was in March, I think it was. It was only when the season opened. We got a 5-star hotel for a really, really good price. I do remember that. But in the day, oh my God, it was roasting. And then I remember, because little Frankie, my grandson, he was only tiny, and Romy was pregnant with Harper. And I remember like going for a walk because he wouldn't go to sleep and he was in a right strop, you know what I mean? And I said, I'll take him for a walk. I just wanted to get out the hotel for 5 minutes and have a walk. And I remember I got him all shaded. He's obviously only in like a little nappy, and I've shaded over the pushchair. He was really nice and cool. And I'm walking, literally, I thought I'd got some sort of really bad heat exhaustion by the time I got back. Because I, you know, I mean, we'd just got over our winter. You know what I mean? We just got over our winter in March, haven't we? You know what I mean? And then I've gone out into that, and I was literally thinking, oh, I can't walk in this. And I mean, I don't know. I don't really see anybody when you're on holiday, unless it's like a holiday where you're looking at like a scenic holiday or somewhere where you're going to go and look at things. You know, you're not often walking around, are you? Unless you
No,
choose to go
well,
for
you
a
wait
walk.
till the sun goes down, I suppose.
But they all siesta in other
Well, I was
countries,
just
like
about to say that. I mean, we all go out at 12 o'clock midday, and we go, oh, let's go out and walk about in the really hottest part of the day, and let's get sunburn, and let's not cover. Yeah, we're just no wonder they used to call us silly,
and
and
everyone
then
else
they
goes
all
to
go
bed.
to sleep. Yeah, and also our working hours in those countries are different because they cater for that. So, what's your take on the schools closing or finishing early or not being open, and colleges? And now I actually see today people moaning that their clients still expect them to work today. What do you make of?
So what does Sarah think first? Let's have a bit of Sarah.
I think the school issue is. I feel sorry for the kids because they have to wear such stupid uniforms, even in the summer. Like my stepsons have to wear a shirt, a tie. What do they call them? The little
Blazer?
waistcoaty, like
Waistcoat as well.
not a waistcoat, but
Blazer.
like a jumper,
Right.
Oh yeah.
jumper sort of thing.
Yeah, tank top.
And then a blazer on top of it, and they have to like wait till it's really, really extreme before they let them take the blazer off. But they're still expected to wear like the jumper, the shirt, and all that. And obviously, I don't know if schools are air conditioned these days.
I mean,
Well, I think
usually
the newer modern schools and colleges that are being built probably have got air conditioning. But I think the older buildings, we just drove past my old school, which my 3 kids went to as well. And that has two new parts built onto it since I went. I mean, obviously I'm ancient, but there's still the old building and that won't have air conditioning because in the reality of it, there probably is no way of putting it in some of those buildings because of,
It's too old.
and obviously some of the building might not take the weight. I mean, my son-in-law, obviously part of his business is air source heat pumps. And before they moved out of their house, they actually had all air conditioning put in it in their old house. And I remember looking at thinking, God, they're ugly. The great big units on your wall. I thought I was back in America with my friend because in New York, they always had them outside the building, but in England, they're inside. And I remember, well, actually, there's a bit of both, isn't there? They've got different units there, but you still got that big thing hanging out the wall outside. Anyway, I remember looking at them thinking, God, they're so ugly. But when it was hot one summer there, I remember thinking, oh, actually, they're quite nice though, aren't they? They're ugly, but they're quite nice. But she's obviously recently moved this year into a nicer house where she's got a nice big swimming pool, not a proper one. She's put a big pool thing in the garden. And she hasn't got air conditioning no more. And she was moaning today, oh, God, I'm really missing my air conditioning. I bet those people in my old house are loving it. And I went, well, you could do it again. But it's weird, isn't it? Because up until Amy put that in, I'd never seen anyone have it in their house. Not saying I don't think I've been to anyone's house and never seen air conditioning in this country. And, they were only like a 4-bedroomed, semi-detached house in Baffin's Way. So it wasn't like anything out of the ordinary. So it was weird to have it in there. But I think we're getting more used to it, aren't we? We are getting more Americanized and stuff like that with things. So we are doing that. But I do think with the whole heat, like Sarah said earlier, didn't you? Sarah mentioned about snow. So we're all moaning it's hot. But what about when it's
in my
snowing?
opinion, I think schools shouldn't shut, I don't think. But
no, I'm
think
very
the
on the
country
same
needs
page.
to I think the government needs to like make the schools better equipped so that they can deal with like extreme temperatures, like hot and cold. Because, at the end of the day,
Unfortunately, they won't because of the budgets and everything, and education and NHS seems to be at the last of the.
There's another man. It always goes down.
Yeah,
it's
but
probably because it's kids.
I mean, I used to work for years in education. I worked in one secondary school. I've worked in a few different primary schools back in the day. And if it was a hot day, like hot day, and we have had hot days, it might be a record breaker today, whether that's like for however many years or this year. I mean, we used to do things like there was quite a lot of trees on the field. So if the weather was like really hot and the classroom was like they are when they're those flat roofed, like primary schools with all the windows, we used to take them to go and sit under these oak trees. And then we would do like lessons out there. And so it was like quite a nice thing to do, actually. It got everyone out of the stuffy classroom. They'd all take their water bottles and we'd go and sit under a tree. If sometimes they'd even change around the lessons. So instead of like I don't know, doing English that moment, because it was quite hot in the middle of the day, they decided to do art, and then they all started drawing conkers or conker trees
Sorry,
or
not with paint, because I can just see the paint dripping
no,
down.
no, no, not
So
paint, but like
you've just made me think of on Monday. Obviously, we run our development group every other week, and this Monday you were feeling a bit under the weather. I think that was heat related. No, I'm joking.
I
So I
it
took
definitely
through,
wasn't.
and it was probably the funniest development group we've ever had, because everything from start to finish was going wrong. People were coming in looking like they'd been dragged in from the heat. I went in and opened all doors and windows and was trying to get air conditioning in. Sarah actually got the fans out the little side room and put them on, but they were so noisy. We know how noisy those things are when we've worked demos. And we were trying to cool the hall down before anyone come in. And obviously it is a hall made of wood. It's how old? 1900, I think it says on
Oh,
the
it's
board.
100 years old.
It's
wasn't
over,
it?
yeah, it's 100 years old, and it's all made of wood, and it was originally like a barn. So you could imagine it gets hot in there, but we were trying to make it bearable. And then people were arriving and they were like, oh, and so we thought we'd have this bright idea that, well, I think it was a bit of my idea. It was my idea. I take full responsibility.
It wasn't mine, so I wasn't there.
It wasn't yours because you weren't there. So I said, let's go out, take our chairs out. We'll sit out on the grass, which is attached to it, and we will sit there, ground ourselves in the, in the earth, being all earthy. And we will do our little opening prayer and meditation before we start group. We could even do a bit of the class out there if it keeps us cool. It all went pretty wrong. And if the lovely Pat is watching at some point, she knows why the first part went wrong, because I put the most angelic piece of music on because we were outside and I didn't want to disrespect any of the neighbours, although you know that these houses are set back quite away from the hall. And she jumped as soon as the woman started to sing. I mean, if she's scared of angels.
And screamed.
And screamed, actually. I forgot that bit. And that was from an angelic voice. So God knows what she'd done if we'd put some trancey music on. So I tried it again. She did it again. And then all the group was giggling. Now, I don't know if that was heat exhaustion or what, but they certainly picked their energy up from the giggling. So then we tried again, trying with Fluffy Cloud, your favourite one, Polly. We thought put Fluff. And they all started moving because the ants had attacked all our feet and was biting us. So even trying to go outside and do something, like you said, what you did with the school, did not. And there's trees and bushes there. So it was quite cool out there, wasn't it, Sarah?
It was cool, yeah.
But it wasn't working, because if it wasn't Pat, obviously scared of her own shadow, it was insects attacking us. So we had to come back in and continue quite poorly our class. But fair play for those that did turn out in that heat, and fair play that we got something done, I think. And they all went home laughing, apparently.
Yeah.
They all actually said they had more of an energy lift. So
I think everyone went home in like the best mood because everyone just couldn't stop laughing.
Perhaps it was like laughter therapy.
It
so
was
actually,
very
that's what I
successful.
should have called it, because I remember doing that in uni. We used to get people to do it. But the weird thing is, everyone come in lethargic. I was lethargic. I didn't even feel like driving. Sarah offered to pick me up, so I didn't have to drive. So I got the lethargic bit, but by the time everyone left, everyone was buzzing.
Yeah,
So
it was...
in this moaning heat, it's just the heat's making you lethargic and moany. If you actually found something to just lift your mood, maybe that'd stop us moaning. But
Well, I wouldn't moan about it if I didn't have to work and didn't have dogs.
Oh no, see, I still think it's just sitting around, it's hot. There's just nowhere to feel relaxed. I can't, like, people have noticed I'm not wearing my glasses. I mean, I'm old now, I always wear them, but look.
I thought you were going to say people might notice I'm not wearing my bra.
I'm not wearing my glasses because if I put my glasses on, then I'm just like this. Because I'm so hot.
It's like,
It looks all quiet. And then I'm getting marks under my eyes because my glasses are irritating me. So I can't read because I can't wear my glasses. I don't need them for this. But if I was doing readings on Zoom, I'd need my glasses because I'd be like, where are you? Where are you people? Like, what card is that? I need cards in Braille so that I can work out.
Speaking of the schools, though.
Sorry, that's disrespectful for anyone that can't
Sorry,
see. But yeah, good. Speaking of schools, but I do want to get off the old heat in schools because
just
we
one
could
more thing,
moan
though.
about so much more.
Even adults going to work, like, there's not actually a maximum temperature that it's illegal to work in. There's a minimum one, but not a maximum.
There is a maximum one.
Really?
It's by the discretion.
They said it was news.
Well, there's a discretion with most companies. I obviously worked at the university, and I did health and safety NEBOSH, so I'm not just a pretty face, people.
Google it, Sarah, our
It's
researcher.
a bit like there's not a legal age you can leave your child, believe it or not. When I worked,
There isn't. I do know that because
Yeah.
I remember when I did childminding and it came up in the training.
So there isn't. It's not unlawful to do it, but actually, should someone become unwell in the heat,
Mm.
and no precautions were taken, i.e., because like we used to go around with ice creams and stuff like that in work and different things. Even yesterday, my neighbour come out and gave the bin men ice creams, which I thought was lovely. But then I thought, how are they going to have time to eat if they're trying to
Yeah.
clear the bins on the
It'll
main
melt.
roads and all the traffic?
Well, it's not just that. It's a lovely thought, but you know, when you've just touched loads of minging
Yeah,
wheelie
well, I
bins.
expect they're used to that, Polly, and they probably. I mean, years ago we had to learn to get bacteria, and as it
To
probably
be fair, though, when I used to have my pony back in the day, I had lots of I've had a few ponies in my day, but it was my first pony who I loved, and her name was Tara, Oakland's Tara. She was a liver
I'm going
chestnut,
to
New
Google now.
Forest, and I used to go to pony club, right? So we used to go to pony club
Pony club.
competitions and everything else, and I remember we used to be like minging after a day of showing, minging, and we'd be like picking the horses like feet out and everything with the hoof pick, and like just generally dusty dirty from like the horses. And then we'd go and get a hot dog without washing our hands and eat that, and God knows what sort of crap was all over my fingers.
Because this is our. So there's no legal limit. You're right there, and there's no legal limit, like you said about children. But if you get caught or something happens, it becomes a legal case. This is how crackers the UK is. So it is not acceptable to be working in conditions over 30 degrees in an office, and it is advised that anyone. Trade Union Congress recommends employers take action if the temperature hits 24 or over, and advises stopping work if it exceeds 27. If it recommends if it goes over 30, in office-based roles, they should be stopped. Outdoor workers under the health and safety require employers to control heat risk through proper risk assessments. So that's what I learned in health and safety as well. So if
That was on the news actually.
so if you're
earlier.
in an office or indoors and you're working in retail and it's unbearable, it's the manager's duty to keep an eye on it and check that, because if you pass out, it's not, and you're cutting meat, that's not going to be a good look. There's no legal requirement, but they are meant to keep it under the welfare, the Health and Safety Welfare Act.
So it's
But if you're outside, there is actually a requirement, and this is what I mean about our country. So no, there's no legal requirement. But if an injury happens and a health and safety case is taken on board, which the HSE will do, then there's an actual legal.
I mean, you've got to think. I mean, they've got
So
to
we are
wear.
crackers.
Outside workers have to wear more often than not would have to wear protective clothing, which includes hats, helmets, what have you, which is again keeping heat in. Boots, you have to wear safety boots. So again, you know, you have to wear socks under your safety boots. You can't wear flip-flops up a roof, can you, at the end of the day, or doing like, you know, a pneumatic drill on the side of a road. And they have to wear also high vis.
Yeah,
it's
often,
unbearable
depending on
wearing
what
a
they
hat,
do.
I must
So, I mean, I said earlier, I've worked in kitchens. I worked in the university halls of residence. I've worked in kitchens, in heat, in a basement area. So there was only the back doors to the kitchen, and then doors that opened out into the canteen, but they were basements. So they went up. There was a flight of stairs going back up to the sort of seafront bit. So we had to work in that heat all day, all night, feeding 400 plus students because they still need to be fed. So with any heat and then being inside a heated area, it's horrible. And you've had to work in the bakery and the cooking, the rotisserie bit. So
works. He's a baker, and they've got to wear this hat, and it's like a skull cap thing.
yeah.
Hairnet and a hat is it's unbearable.
So I used to work in a bakery years ago. A bakery that used to supply a lot of the local bakers, a lot of the local cake shops and bread. So we used to, and the burger vans, things like that. So we'd be in the main bakery, but I'd be upstairs because I did the payroll, and that was hot, and everyone was sweltering. So
Now you're talking about hairnets. Do you know there's something? Do you know like something that gives you the ick, really bad ick, right? Like there's in McDonald's in the drive-through, there was a guy, and bless him, lovely, really polite guy, but he had like a hairnet on his beard thing that obviously he'd been required to wear, and that really just, I don't know if it reminded me of like somebody having a vasectomy or what. It was just a little bit concerning.
It would probably put me off going in McDonald's. Not that I like going in there anyway, so that'd probably just finish me off and confirm that I don't like it. But I do get that, because obviously my son-in-law and my eldest both have got beards and moustaches, and when Lewis is on one, it grows even more. Looks a little bit like the down below regions, and and when it falls out, it looks like the down below regions. So I don't want that. And if that fell in a burger, or it was
but this is like the guy. This is like the guy that you pay, so he's not handling.
But it still could be pulled back to
He's
the
not.
back at some point,
He's
couldn't he?
not handling your baps.
No, but he
But
might be handling your baps.
Doing multitasking.
He might be flipping later on the Berber baps, so you don't know, do you? I sort of get the health and hygiene there, but yeah.
I know, I get it, but it really gives me the
Because
ick.
I'll be honest, back in older days, they wouldn't have been able to have beards. They would have to have been clean shaven. Their hair would have been tied back.
Yeah, only a few years ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Well, but even like you weren't allowed to have tattoos in the police force. You weren't allowed to have tattoos, piercing, nails, or anything like that under the nurse in nursing. Obviously, working in the medical thing as well, I've seen people with their earrings in and stuff like that. That was all forbidden. I get things have changed to give people more identity and stop telling them they can't have things. But I do think with something like that, if you're going to have a beard, which they're entitled to have, then I would want it covered up, because if I see something that looked like a pube in my burger or my chicken fillet, I would not be happy. How many innuendos can we do on this show today? So sort of get that. But anyway, we've moaned about the heat. We've moaned about schools. We've had a right old moan because we're hot. I've moaned because I can't wear my glasses. I wish I didn't have to wear my glasses all the
Holly's
time.
laughing at the backs.
She's laughing. What else? What can we moan? I mean, obviously, people think we're a spiritual talk show. Aren't they disappointed?
Well, we are, but we're not.
Come on and go, why are those two mediums absolutely talking rubbish all the time?
A good moan is good for the soul.
But we're not allowed to moan? You want us to try working in this heat and have a moan? I mean, come on. It is unbearable working in the heat, but we can still laugh about it, can't we?
We talked about spiritual grid, so that's fine.
Yeah, we talked about we've first spiritual.
It's covered all bases. We've covered
I
the
wonder
supermarket.
how many spiritual people are out there moaning at the moment. What do you reckon, Sarah? Do you reckon? Do you reckon everyone's as funny as me and Polly? I don't think
Absolutely
they're as funny
not.
as me and Polly.
Definitely not.
No, they're
I
not.
think we're just down to earth people. What we do, we take very seriously, but we are normal people at the end of the day. Well, I don't know about normal, but we are certainly. Let's say we're not floaty light. We're not like saying that, everything we do is coming from a source, or everything we say is coming from a source. It comes from us too. We are allowed opinions. We are allowed to have opinions on things. We are allowed to express that. The good thing about people like you and I is the fact that, we're quite happy to say it to somebody's face as well. We wouldn't have to say something
in a nice way.
In a nice way.
Don't want any disclaimers. We've already talked about BAPs and things like that.
No,
remember, there's a disclaimer on this show. But we are very honest. Yes, we are very.
If there's a problem, I don't have any problem saying to somebody what the problem is. And, and I'd be quite happy for people to tell me that they think I'm completely wrong. And that's fine too, because I'm allowed to think this, feel this. They're allowed to think and feel something else, and that's fine. But, I think the good thing is it's about being real, isn't it? At the end of the day, we're real people. We're not just walking around in white robes and
white robes. I know I'm trying to get some weight off, but I'm still not wearing a white robe. I told you, if they brought burkas in, I wasn't putting one of them. Well, I might put one on actually, just so I can hide myself. But yeah, we don't wear robes. I remember someone coming for a reading once, God, years ago, and saying, "Oh, you're quite normal, aren't you? I like your dress." Well, yeah. I think she thought I was going to go on the door with a pointed hat. Pentacles pentagons hanging around my neck. Not smudging, but actually doing a spell as I come to the door. Yeah, I am quite normal. I like to think I'm a normal person in a strange job.
Funny way.
Yeah, in a strange job. Our last show, we didn't moan. We were quite serious, weren't we? In our last show, we were quite serious. We were talking about all the stuff that's gone on and how anti everyone's been getting. And you probably haven't read it because you don't read my posts. This is on our spiritual.
I don't read anyone's.
This is on our spiritual group, so you really should. But I don't take it out. I often, as you know, I update the group with different little research things. I give them little background knowledge on previous mediums or previous stuff. And I've been sharing stuff about, I can never say it, Chiron coming into Taurus, about the planets and about how it's not happened in 40.
Oh, you told me about it.
Yes.
And you told me to read it, but
we are meant to be shredding all our emotions now and our negativity. We're halfway through the 5 horse year, so we need to be getting on with things, because if we've been sitting on it for 6 months, that horse has been going nowhere. So it was more about shedding some of our energy, shedding some of our negativity, and dealing with some of the emotions that we've been sitting on. It says in some of the other stuff, because I was telling you about a gentleman I forgot, and I can't look at my phone without putting my glasses on, that we're going to slide down my face again, about a gentleman that predicted 5 planets coming together in a basket and the world will change. And he's predicted, and he did predict COVID, and he is a psychic like us. He's actually a sciencey astronomer planet person, but he predicted stuff that would happen around the planet's movement. He predicted COVID, and he also said that COVID wasn't the beginning of something negative. It was the beginning of something positive, because it was going to change the way Earth is and the way people are. And this period of transition that we've all been having, because let's be fair, we said it last time, this last 6 years, there's certainly a lot of negativity and angry, and people have gone a little bit strange. Not everyone, but there's certainly a lot of people walking around angry. He's saying it was all to shift us and change us, and now we're coming back. This change with Chiron and everything else, this is us coming back round on ourselves, and now good things are going to happen. So if he's true, we're going to all stop moaning, hopefully. And we're all going to
To
stop
be honest, I
thinking
just
about
don't.
climate change.
I think there's a lot of things that are good in the world, and there is a lot of things that are good in the world. There's a lot of good people in the world, and but I don't think that in any way they'll ever stop war, and they'll ever stop this, or ever stop that, and a huge manipulative control. I feel like there'll be a lot of people that will wake up to the fact that perhaps they need to lead a more spiritual life, even if that's just for themselves. I'm not talking about becoming a spiritual reader, medium, or anything else. I'm talking about spiritually knowing what's good for you, what makes you happy, what makes you tick, doing good for others, it coming back on you, good karma, etc., etc. And I think there's a lot of people that from that time have shifted, and want to, live with the land, live on the land, and be self-sufficient. And there's lots of people that want to do that. But I just think, being a good person, not judging, not being horrible to somebody else just because you're not feeling happy is particularly spiritual. I feel that, it has to change in that way. Because like you said, there's been a lot of divide, but it's like moving through dimensional states, isn't it? I mean, if you're very third dimensional, then you'll be very much to do with money, ownership, earning, what's mine, that sort of thing. As you go through the fourth dimensional state, then it ends up being a little bit of a mess, shedding time. And then you go more into the fifth dimensional energy, and you become more pure of thought, more pure, more light, about the light. And I feel that's probably what's happening in a similar way to the Earth, because we had all that. Does that make sense? We
Yeah.
had the big disaster. It did turn people's lives around, some for the good and some for not. I do feel, like you said before, the world's very divided. First of all, there was a war about who believes this and who believes that, and why would we have a jab? Why, I'm not going near you if you don't. But then it was almost like a realization where people were thinking, well, it's not a big deal now. Not so much of a big deal, but you've still got people that are thinking it is a big deal. And
Still
every
got
time
people
this,
going in on their 10th one, even though it's been investigated, and now
yeah,
cases have been proved. That amazes
and
me.
that's,
Does amaze.
if that's what they want to do, then they're doing it to their own bodies, and that's fine. But I just feel like, because everything, a lot of people got stuck in that, well, I don't want to go outside, I can do everything online now. I don't have to go and see friends. I can just talk to them, or have isolated themselves.
Yeah.
I think that's very sad. But I just want everyone to stop being so isolated or relying. I know we're using this today. We're using the technology
Oh, we are.
today
We're
to be
using
able.
technology. We've said this before. We're using technology to get things out, but we were doing that during COVID when we were
Yeah,
hosting
yeah, yeah.
on SPTV, because
Oh,
people that were
absolutely.
housebound felt they connected to us. I mean, all right, we were doing readings, you were doing mediumship on there, I was doing psychic counselling on there. We were helping people, whether we knew it or not. We couldn't see them. So we were doing something for the good still. We did that in our own time. That was we did that voluntary. And we did get a lot of people that enjoyed watching that, and it made them feel that they were still connected to people. So it was a positive thing.
I just
This
want
show,
people to be more
yes,
connected to real people.
it's the whole idea of us doing the talk show, apart from the fact we both like talking, is because we wanted to get subjects across. And that's why we don't always do spiritual stuff. We do like what's going on in the world, because it's still affecting us. We're still doing normal things as well.
Mhm.
So we wanted to try and just get a little bit of fun with our spiritual stuff. We've got our event coming up at the end of July, and again, that's a little bit different, isn't it? We're trying to do it in a more intimate, fun way where we will give messages, but people can ask us questions, like questions they've probably not asked somebody before in mediumship because they've always been waiting for a reading.
Do you want to tell the public, our little viewers now, to tell them in case they haven't seen our
Well, if they haven't
post?
seen me continuously publicised on all our technology that
Well,
I
on YouTube
moan about.
too.
But
And
yes, we have an event in Hayling Island on the Friday, the 24th of July. Me and Polly, it's called An Evening with Polly and Jane, and our special guest is the lovely Peter Goddard, who we keep trying to pin down to get on our YouTube show, our podcast, but he's always busy, so he better turn out on the night if Peter's watching this. But yeah, and the whole idea was to get three mediums that are down to earth, that have got a sense of humour as well, because we do have to make things light and about fun, because it's quite a tough subject for some people. So we like to put the humour in it, don't we? And the kindness, and just make people feel relaxed.
And not only will we be doing messages for people as we get them, but we will also be talking. There'll be questions and
There'll be questions
answers.
and answers. So it's an opportunity for people to come and see three mediums, not walking backwards and forwards on a stage, looking or whatever. We're going to be sat in an intimate evening with people like they've come into our lounge. So like when people watch us on here and it's in their lounge, they're going to be coming there to watch us do that. It's a shame we couldn't record that, but I don't think I've got the technology brain to do that.
And I'm sure you can then meet the lovely Sarah, who without a doubt
Yes.
will be there.
Who's been
And
behind the scenes as one of our organisers. So she is. So that's why she's here, because she organises a lot with our fairs, but she's just shy. She's camera shy.
she might be wearing one of those joke glasses and moustache.
Yeah, disguise.
Yeah, she'd be
Yeah.
disguised.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting back to technology, it has helped. It's helped do this. It's helped do things in the past. I moaned about AI before, and I tweak our posts. After I've designed our posts or any of it's my own words, by the way, people. When you see me do things, I put the words down on paper, and then I put it back through AI to tweak what AI does. They very rarely change my words. They change the style of everything. Even the poster, when I put it through AI, all they did was sharpen the pictures up. They changed nothing. So I still stand by. I like the personal touch, but AI, yes, I don't mind it giving me a little bit of a tweak. This show, it goes through an AI system when I go to edit it, but I still disagree, and then I put it back how I want, which is why it probably doesn't stand in the top 10 of podcasts, Polly, because I haven't listened to AI. Who knows, but I don't care. But yeah, I mean, we have advanced massively, haven't we? We have. Here's another little moan for you, because the show was Moaning Myrtle. How many people do you think jumped for joy when Keir Starmer resigned?
I did.
I
But
did-
to be
I did.
fair,
I didn't. Do you know what I did? Boring.
well, no, I did
my
because I
boring.
personally don't like him or his ethics, and that goes back to the old Jimmy Savile thing also. So I can't even just blame his. I can't just blame him running, attempting to run the country. But to be fair, I mean, I'm not going to go particularly political on who I would vote for, but I would not vote for Labour.
No. So all right then, I'm going to ask
So
Sarah.
the
and I'm
general
gonna ask
election
you.
would be good for me.
Sarah, what one thing about Keir Starmer didn't you like?
One thing, I've got quite a lot.
Yeah, just give me one big
Um,
thing. While you're glad he's no longer Prime Minister, well, he still is for the time being, he has to hand the reins over. But why are you glad? What one thing are you glad that he will no longer be in control of this country?
I think the way like he blamed the previous government for everything, but then basically did exactly the same.
Okay. But every government does that, and every
Yeah,
Prime Minister
true.
does that. So,
I think he's also quite like smarmy and
right, smarmy is something a lot of people say.
Yeah.
Polly, what one thing are you pleased that he's no longer in charge?
Like I said, I go right back to when he helped get Jimmy Savile off.
Yeah,
That
but he
was
wasn't
mine.
Prime Minister then. He was working
I
in
don't
his
care.
role as a barrister, and every barrister has to take on a case or whatever, whether they're good or bad.
Well, because I'm going to probably.
She got a real problem with Jimmy
I
Savile.
I just think
last
he's.
time.
Do you know
You
when
didn't get
people
on
think
to
that
fix it, did you? That's why you're angry.
because I didn't get to ride an ostrich in a race? But it's I didn't like him before. I don't like him now. I didn't like him then. I just feel wants to be something and he's not. And I don't think he's actually strong enough, to be fair. The other thing is
So,
that if anybody would be a lizard, he's on the list.
well, yeah, we have talked about the reptilian and we do think he's lizards. Okay. So would you say out of all the prime ministers, not that we've seen them all because we know we're still only 21, but would you say he's the most hated prime minister or the most weakest prime minister? Sarah?
I don't want to say hated, probably disliked.
So you think he's the weakest?
I think weakest, yeah.
I know, I think probably there's weaker.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of things for other countries, like helped other countries with stuff, but ours seems to be a bit low on his priority list.
So I think he's a weak man. Every time I looked at him, I thought he was a weak man. But you know what I think with the old politic game. I always think that he's just a puppet in a game that someone else is pulling the strings. And even to resign now, I don't think was his choice. He's been told by the
Oh yeah, I mean we've heard rumours for ages, haven't
and we
we?
knew the whole Andy Berman thing was going to be part of it, which is amazing because that's only a small place in the grand scheme of the UK. So how someone with, might have got good votes in his area, but is still heading towards Parliament for a challenge is still a political move in my book. So I find the whole thing quite, here we go again. Because like you said, we've still got Labour in and they're all run by, I think, something a lot more powerful than anyone that sits at number 10.
Absolutely.
So
Everyone thinks,
he was weak. He did smarm. He smarmed a lot, but I think he smarmed a lot because he was following a script and he wasn't comfortable with the script. What I found fascinating and what I'm going to moan about, I didn't care. I mean, the country's happy he's resigned. The ones that want him to resign and the person to come in, I think they still needs a little bit of a reality check. But anyway, and I don't mean Labour, I mean then the other governments that they want to come in. I think they all need to start having a proper look at the whole game of politics. But what I found what was most annoying yesterday, and that's what I'm going to moan about. Yeah, he resigned, and that's great. Right, fantastic. We'll see what the other one's going to do. We're still under Labour, so let's not get excited. But I see so many posts yesterday, and I checked on purpose. I actually scrolled and kept scrolling, and I watched news articles yesterday for this very reason, because I'm a saddo, but I like to keep up with current affairs when it's strange. Do you know how many people said what a good job he did?
really?
It was unreal. It was unreal.
I did see a few posts from local politicians.
Our own politician in this area, my area, I think she might come. No, you're under threat, aren't you two? Even to put a picture up, standing next to him, saying what an amazing man and what a great family man he was, and blah, 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 blah. Well, he probably is a lovely family man. He probably is a nice man, and maybe he has got a sense of humour. We certainly haven't seen it in the last couple of years, but anyway, he has got a serious job. But, well, mind you, we did sort of see it in Boris, so maybe they could lighten up a bit and be a bit more like Boris, who knows. But I just thought, oh, stop. One, I don't want to see your pictures with the ex-Prime Minister, because, that's like, bye, that's the ex-Prime Minister.
Because we don't care.
Don't really care. Two, what the hell? Because if this person was as good as he was and is as nice as they say he is, and he's a human being, so he probably has got nice qualities. Of course he has. He's just had a really crap job. But why have we not seen that for the last 2 years then? Why have we been led to believe this man was just taking us down some yellow brick road? I felt like we was in the yellow brick road going to meet the wizard that didn't really exist. That's where I feel we've been for the last 2 years. I don't like politics. I do keep an eye on things like that. And I was gobsmacked how many local people praised that man as our Prime Minister. It was a real interesting. I mean, a lot of people like
Still, he's not for me. I mean, I will live and let live. I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to him or anyone else. But I just don't. I feel like the smarm. I feel he was insincere and.
But was he told to be? That's my question. Was he told,
I think
as
he's
the
trying.
lizard that we think he is, was he told by the reptilian aliens? We ought to do a show on aliens. We're going to have to get someone on and do it.
Well, we are going to have to get a bit of a special one.
We have to get a special one on for aliens. But was he, as the reptilian species that we think he's come from, told to do this? This is where it's interesting. Because who do you think, who for you, Sarah, I'm going to ask you because you are our guest, even if you're not showing yourself, who do you think in history is the most prominent Prime Minister to date?
Winston Churchill.
Right, and Polly?
Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah. Margaret Thatcher for me as well.
Well, I didn't think of her.
So, do you pick Winston Churchill
What
because of history? Because
Probably, yeah.
we were all taught history. That we were all
Yeah, to be
taught.
fair,
We
apparently
all
he was a
taught.
massive arsehole racist.
Yeah, he was a racist. Yeah, well, he wasn't a nice man, was he? If you actually do your background on him,
I mean,
probably because he's the one I was taught about at school.
and
I
that's what.
suppose.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So, do you think we're brainwashed? Do you think we're all being brainwashed?
no, because a lot of people didn't
We're
like
not, because
Thatcher.
we're clever, aren't we, Polly? We're not brainwashed because we talk. They're guides to tell us if we're brainwashed. No,
Yeah.
we're not clever than anyone else.
I mean,
Do you think the human race have been brainwashed for a very long time? Because you've just said Winston Churchill because of being taught about the war in history. I don't think they teach so much about the World War II now, do they, in history?
No.
Because
I
they
don't know. They
more
do.
about
They do.
American history
Yeah.
and Egypt and stuff like that, which is great. But so Winston Churchill covers that history because of Hitler.
Yes, which is
Yeah.
the main.
But
What you're talking
Margaret
about.
Thatcher did a lot in history that upset a lot of people, the miners, Falkland Islands. But she did stand by her convictions, which I think Winston Churchill did as well. So, as two great figures, they will be remembered for their power of conviction because, rightly or wrongly, they stood by it, didn't they?
Yeah, they did what they said, didn't they?
Well, that's the thing. That's the difference. Is I don't want like a dictator by any means of the word, but we do want somebody who looks like they have got
Some
like some
backbone, yeah.
welly behind them, and that actually are going to like listen to the people and make a difference in some way. I just want somebody to make a difference. I want
So, do we think that's going to happen?
probably not, but I would love. I mean, we've been blessed with free care, free healthcare. I don't want to see it going down the pan, but I feel like we're being pushed that way. I feel like, they're talking about keeping kids in school, education and everything, but they don't sort out resources. They don't sort out bullying. They don't sort out all the another
They
thing.
don't sort out SEN. They don't sort out dealing with children. I mean, I was with somebody on Sunday when we went to our solstice get together, and she was saying about her grandson has just been thrown out of a specialist school, that he's been waiting to get into this specialist school because this specialist school is for people that have been through trauma and stuff like that, and this school doesn't even want him. So what is the point of sending a child and out of this state, out of this sending him to another county in a school that's meant to be prepared to deal with these issues, and they're still chucking them out because of funding or whatever else. So anyone that comes in needs to start looking at our education system, especially if they want to extend it. I mean, they extended it.
And mental health, more mental health services within schools or people trained in that, because there is so much. I mean, when I worked in schools, it wasn't as bad, to be fair. And we had, there was, the schools I worked in, yes, they were under resourced and some of them were in, not amazing areas either. But the thing is, there's no money into the resources to help certain children in those situations. I mean, and then these children are often likely, not always, but often likely to either retract, end up with serious mental health issues, or end up in jail.
And God forbid if they end up in mental health, because that service is definitely down the toilet. And if they end up in jail, they end up in jail only for the silliest of things, because we've seen people go to jail for silly things and not go to jail for the right things. So it is a strange world we live in. So if this scientist, I will look this scientist up and see if I can put it on the end of the YouTube channel. If he's right, if this scientist is right, and we're now turning around for the better before we get too bad, I truly hope that it does change some of the services or the requirement for these services in that future, because I just don't know what is coming, quite frankly. I really don't. On that note,
Well,
do
we'll see.
we want one last moan, Sarah? Have you got one last moan you want to throw in the mix before? Do you want to moan about your mentors? Feel free.
No, I would never moan about it. Oh, what can I moan about?
What can she moan about?
Oh.
One last moan for Moaning Myrtle Week.
Go on, give me a subject. I'll find
No,
something to moan about.
I can't give you a subject. I mean,
It's got to be a moan, just
I
a
could
moan that's
literally
on the top
moan
of your.
for England. I mean, mental health. I could really moan about the mental health.
Yeah, that is actually the NHS when it comes to mental health is awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We could do not one show on the NHS and mental health. We could literally do a series on mental health.
A series on
Yeah,
podcast.
and we could do a series on the NHS in general, just on the lack of funding in dementia care, the lack of funding in mental health care, the waiting list. Even though Keir Starmer did think he got those waiting lists down, did he? I don't know. The new rules for prescriptions. I mean, put a prescription in, you used to just sit there and wait for it, didn't you? You'd go up to the shop, get your meat and potatoes for tea, come back, pick your prescription up, it's ready. Now you put it in, it's not 48 hours no more, it's a week. Might
It's
be
the system, though. I think
the system's gone mad.
it's not all the GPs. I think they do care, and they would.
Well,
Well, most of them do, but
sorry.
like maybe not yours.
Definitely not
But
my surgery.
I know someone that really needed some mental health help, and they basically had to wait 3 weeks for an appointment because they weren't literally at the point of killing themselves. But surely they're asking for help before they get to.
That's where
That stage.
we will come back to. We will do a show on mental health. We've been sort of sitting it on the back burner. One, because it's so close to home for me that sometimes I wonder if I'd actually be on here for like a week just chatting. It'd be like a 7-day show and it is obviously quite close to me, and even now something's just happened in the mental health world with me personally, and again I'm just like frustrated. We will come to do that because there's so many subjects we can all talk about. But Holly, your last moan.
My last moan. I haven't got a lot to moan about. I've got a puppy that I didn't know I wanted.
You can't moan
And
about that.
that's only a good thing. No, I haven't got anything else to moan about. My life's pretty good. Could do a bit more money, of course, but other than that, my life's pretty good.
Well, there you go then. And I said I could moan for England on lots of things, but actually, considering that I have an opinion on a lot of things, that I'm very opinionated, as you all know, as you both know, I literally get up every day and just think, what's the point of getting up? Because I always smile when I get up. I go, well, hey, another day I've made it. Happy days. Get in there, Jane's still here. But I wake up with the attitude, yeah, there's a lot of crap going on at the moment. There's a lot of things that disappoint me at the moment. And you both know I've had a lot of personal stuff that always, every time I think it's getting straight, something else happens. But you know what? I still get up every day thinking, you know, let's just crack on with this day and see what happens. So considering I should moan, I don't think I moan a lot.
No,
Do you think I moan a lot?
I don't. Considering what you could moan about, I think you.
We have like a nice little 5 minute moan sometimes.
We have to.
But 5 minutes and then that's it. We'll have a laugh.
But I was saying this in our group, Polly, on Monday about emotions, that there's nothing wrong being angry. There's nothing wrong being upset. It's a good thing being crying. Crying's good for your soul. There's nothing wrong with feeling out of sorts. It's only wrong when you're not recognizing it, and it's only wrong when you know it's gone past a level. We all get angry, that is normal, but if we can bring that anger back, calm ourselves down and realize that we've got it out of our system and now we'll move on. But when you hold on to that anger and it can turn into something else, and you know, unfortunately we've seen that a lot in the local area that we're in, of people with domestic violence that have ended up with death. You know, that's an anger that's out of control. When you're crying to the point that you can't get dressed no more, can't get washed no more, can't go out, or you stop going to work, there's another situation you need to address. So there's nothing wrong with emotions. That's all good. It's when those emotions get out of control and we've lost the ability. And although I joked with group and said that I should probably be in a straitjacket, probably should have been quite a few years ago, but I'm still beating it off. Only because I know there'll be no one there to tie it around the back of me because they're so short-staffed and behind on their NHS mental health. See, I can even laugh about that. I try to moan in private and then get on with my day. So I haven't really got a moaning myrtle, really. Like I said.
Right, shall we leave it there then until 2 weeks' time, where we will be back? If anyone,
And we won't be moaning.
no, if it would be lovely if you haven't already liked, subscribed, it would be lovely if you would add us to your little subscription list because we're worth it, girl.
We're worth it.
But yeah, so it just helps with the algorithms and everything else, which is a bit rubbish. But yeah, we would love you to join us anyway. And yes, I'm sure we'll come back in 2 weeks with another interesting comment. If you would like to comment on anything that we write, try and be positive. But you know, if you've got a moment yourself,
we're going to let our lovely guest Sarah say goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for having me.
She's scared to come on. just in
Oh.
case. No, she's not. Because she's moaning that she doesn't look right.
I think you look lovely all the time.
She looks perfectly fine. And if I could sit here sweating, my light's gone out, I'm going to moan, my light's gone out. Time out, the
Must be
light's
a
gone.
sign.
It must be a sign. So from me and Polly, we used to go, it's goodbye from her, it's goodbye from me. We will see you in 2 weeks. Take care, everyone.
See you later.
Bye.